Canadians. A lot of people in Canada get tattoos, even more than in the States. So yeah, I have, well, there's this one. This is just, it's from another story. If you are familiar with the story of Dune, it's a fun story. It's about a world that's covered in sand. The whole world is one big desert. And there's these big worms that live in the desert. Like these worms, they eat, trucks. They're huge worms. And they make a certain kind of drug. It's a really fun story. If you guys like video games, then you should look this one up because they made a lot of games based on it. But the story has to do with people more than it's about how people developed. And so there's a language involved that the author made just for this story. So that's what this one is. And I have my wife's name on my shoulder, of course, And yeah, this is a heart. This is a Canadian flag. This is another Canadian flag. And this down here is just something for my brother. So, yeah, I think that's all blue, yeah. And before you ask, this is the one that hurt the most. So if you want to get a tattoo, this is not a good place. Anywhere that's right on the bone really hurts. That's why so many people get tattoos here, because you barely feel it. This is easy place to get tattoos. On your ribs, on your ankle also, not so good a place. So, yeah, if it's on the bone, it really hurts. So, but good question. So, other questions? Oh yeah, sure. Actually, I do have some photos with me. I like to have them for talking, for conversation, but we usually don't get them. These are old photos, though. I use these sometimes when we have time to talk about describing things. So, yeah. This is when she was much younger. So, I can show you another picture of, okay, this is, yeah, part of my family. You know where that is? That's up in Taiwan. There, my daughter, when she was younger. I don't have any recent photos. These are all when my kids were younger. So, yeah. She's beautiful though, eh? Yeah. So, if you guys are interested in coming to class again with me sometime, I can certainly show you more recent photos. But, I don't have any pictures on here because I don't like that kind of phone. So, all right. I would like to share one more idea with you guys before we finish today. So, remember I asked you about these ideas here. There's a difference between Chinese and English, and it's not just about the sounds. That's what makes this so important. Sounds make a difference. 我太太姓Ling. It doesn't matter if you say Ling or Lin or Ling, 都可以, right? We're in Beihu or I said Beihu, 都可以, it doesn't matter. But in English, those sounds make a difference. They make different words, or they make words that don't exist and then nobody understands you. So the big difference between English and Chinese here is that in Chinese, you understand the meaning, and that tells you what the grammar is. It tells you what the word is. 我太太姓Ling. You know what I'm talking about, you understand what I mean, so you know that it's this word here. Even though if I said it wrong, even though I used the wrong sound, you know what word it is, right? And it's the same thing with your sentences. In Chinese, when you make a sentence, first you get the meaning. You put the words together in your head and you understand what it must mean. And then you figure out what all the words do in a sentence. Then you get the grammar. But in English, it's the other way around. In English, we have to look at the grammar first. And the grammar tells us the meaning, even if it doesn't make sense. So, in Taiwan, at this school, are you allowed to drink beer? Can you drink beer at the school? No, right? So, 学校里面不可以喝啤酒, right? Yeah, that's something else about it. So if you go to school in Europe, then the rules there are a little bit different. I used to have so much fun with that. You know Nestea? You know the iced tea that you can buy? All right. I used to buy the bottles, and okay, I emptied out the bottles, and I used to drink a lot of rum. Rum is a kind of alcohol. It's made from sugar. Okay, so it's the same color as iced tea. So I would fill my iced tea bottle with rum, and then I would go to school. And when my friends saw me drinking my iced tea, they would ask me to share. So I would give them the bottle. They would think it's iced tea, so they would take a good drink, and then they would start coughing, and then it'd be angry. It was lots of fun. So, anyways, at this school, you're not allowed to drink beer, right? 学生不可以喝啤酒. 啤酒不可以喝, right? When you say that, 啤酒不可以喝, what do you mean? When you say 啤酒不可以喝, 谁不可以喝? 是啤酒它是不可以喝的吗? 谁不可以喝? The students, right? 是我们不可以喝. 我们不可以喝啤酒, right? If you say 啤酒不可以喝, you're not saying beer, my friend beer, cannot drink. In Chinese, when you say this, see, this is beer. He's not happy because he can't drink. That's not what it means in Chinese, though. In Chinese, 啤酒不可以喝. 谁不可以喝? 是学生, 是我们, 是人, right? So, how does that work in Chinese, but it doesn't work in English? How does that happen? And it's not just habit, right? It's not just that's what we do. There's a reason why. What about this one here? The door closes. If I say, right? Not yet. If I say, the door closes. Who closed the door? I'm not in that sentence though. The door closes. 没有我, right? But if you say it in Chinese, how do you say that in Chinese? The door closes. 关门, right? Then you have a who. Say 关门. 是人, 对不对? Alright? Right, or a ghost. But in Chinese, if you say the door closes, what you're saying is that a person closed the door. In English, when you say the door closes, you're saying the door closes. Okay? In English, a thing can be the subject. Okay? You guys understand? We still have 10 minutes, so don't get ready to leave yet. When we say this in English, what we mean is, who closes? The door. Because for us, that makes sense. Okay, guys? We have a subject and a verb. Who or what does this? The door. Same thing here. That's why if you use Chinese, 啤酒不可以喝, and you write it in English, guys, if you do this, then people will not understand you. Because what you mean in Chinese makes sense. 啤酒不可以喝，是人不可以喝啤酒。Everybody understands that in Chinese. But in English, if you say beer can't drink, who can't drink? Beer. That's how this works. This is the subject. Okay? So, it's just like with the pronunciation. And this is how you have to work with language. If you learn one rule, one idea, and then when there's something new, it's a new idea. Second rule. And then you learn something new, third rule. If you learn it that way, you will never learn it properly. All of those ideas go together. So your pronunciation can help your grammar. It can help your vocabulary. It can help you learn words. But you have to see it all together. This is the same problem. Which one is right? I'm boring or I'm bored? Bored. Why?
Boring 是
Okay, there's the time problem, but also 它是人，对不对？它是东西，对不对？不对。In Chinese, person and thing is grammar. In English, it's not. In English, person and thing makes no difference in the grammar. We have words, he, she, it. We have words, but for our grammar, person and thing makes no difference. So, you can say, I'm bored. You can also say, I'm boring. Right? The teacher is boring, so the students are bored. They both work, right? Now, when we have this problem in English, we do have to look at the other parts. ing tells us that something started in the past and it's still going. For example, I am talking, right? Whereas if we use this form here, it's like with the door. The door is closed, right? Because in the past it closed, so now it is closed. There is another pattern there. But you won't get this as long as you're thinking in Chinese, person and thing. Okay? So, remember, in Chinese, the meaning gives you the grammar. When you understand the sentence, you know how the grammar works. But in English, we need the grammar first. If you don't understand the grammar, you cannot get the sentence. If the grammar isn't right, you won't understand the sentence. Okay? So, this is something where I'm sure you can tell I love talking about this kind of problem. I love helping